Last week, I gave the toughest speech of my life so far. I'm learning to thrive in the gig economy. Would you like to learn too? You know, my mom died a little while back, and last week I gave a eulogy at her memorial service. And you know, I've done some public speaking, and I used to teach public speaking workshops before the pandemic hit. So I've got some experience doing public speaking, but boy, I wanted to get this one right. You know, I wanted to honor her, and I wanted to let people know what she was really like. And it's hard. It's hard. It's very emotional when you're talking about your mother, especially since I grew up as a single with only a single parent, and so she was the only parent really in my life. Um, so I thought I'd share how I prepared for this, because you someday may end up in that kind of situation, and you're going to want to do it right. I mean, you really are. You know, I mean, nobody's going to complain about what you do. Nobody's going to think that you failed or anything like that. But you know, there's going to be something inside you that's going to say, I really want to express myself correctly. So I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a guideline on what I did, and then you know what happened. So she passed away, and we had a few weeks in between her death and the memorial service because we were waiting for people to come back to the area for Thanksgiving. So what I started to do was I just started to think about what I wanted to say. You know, what were the highlights? What would I want people to know about her life? And I wanted to make a point. And just like any other speech, you ought to be thinking along those lines. I want to make a point about my beloved one, whatever you wanted that point to be. And then, you know, you start to think about anecdotes, you start to think about the words you want to use so that people understand what you're trying to say. And so I had a few anecdotes, I had a few things I wanted to say, and I had, uh, fortunately, she had left me a letter uh, detailing what she wanted for her funeral arrangements, and there were some things in the letter that I wanted to read. So I sat down and I sort of sketched out a little bit of a outline, structure of what I wanted to say. Um, this is when you're doing a big speech like this, don't try to wing it. Really, you know, sit down and just think of a few points you want to make. You don't have to write out a whole speech, but say, you know, I want to bring this up, I want to bring that up, I want to bring that up. And then, because I was concerned that it might be taking, people might get the wrong impression or might not understand what I was saying, I practiced it. Yes, and you should do the same. You know, treat it like another speech where you have somebody listen to you and give you feedback. In my case, my accountability partner, we did a Zoom call, and we talked about, you know, what I wanted to convey, and then I basically just gave the speech a little bit. I gave the eulogy, and it was good that I did that because I found myself getting emotional, and it was welling up inside of me. And two or three times I had to stop talking because it was really emotional for me to talk about her death. Uh, and I asked my accountability partner, I said, is this appropriate? Do you think it's the right tone? Do you think it's, you know, and she was fine with it. She made a few suggestions, and she always does make it better. Um, but the good thing about practicing it wasn't just her feedback, but it gave me an indication on when my emotions would really run high, would really run high during the eulogy, and that I needed to be aware that this was a moment that was really emotional for me, so that I could hold myself in at those points, you know. And I've said this before about speaking, but I got there early, and I helped arrange the room so that I knew where I would be speaking from, and I felt comfortable in that spot. That's really important, you know. It's important for you to get wherever you're going early, get set up, feel comfortable where you're going to be speaking, and then the other fortunate part for me was she was a very beloved woman and a larger than life person in the family, and so a lot of people wanted to talk about her. A lot of people wanted to share stories and tell how she affected their lives. And so I arranged the program, in essence, so that other people would go first, and then I would sum up everything. And it was good to do that because I found myself being emotional during other people's speeches. And by the time I spoke, sort of the welling up of the emotion was sort of already done. So I was feeling the emotion, but it was sort of steady by that point, you know? And I was very happy because what other people talked about were different points than what I wanted to talk about with her. It was very important for me to talk about something that, you know, maybe people hadn't thought about as much. And I hope they appreciated what I said about her. And when I got up to speak, I hadn't practiced gestures. I hadn't practiced working the floor or using eye contact or any of those public speaking tips that you used to doing. But it flowed. It flowed like muscle memory almost. You know, my body just started to do the gestures. I started to move the floor. I started to look at people in the faces, make eye contact, just the way I would have done any other speech. Because even though it was coming from my heart, my body was reacting as if it were another speech, you know, in a way. And I think it went very well. You know, there were a couple things I would have liked to have included, but I forgot in the moment. There were a couple times when my voice started to crack, and I really felt like I was going to, you know, lose it. But I kept it in because I was prepared from having practiced it. So that's what I would suggest you do. Follow these tips if you ever have to give a eulogy, if you ever have to do something like this, because you're going to want to do it right. You're going to want to honor the person. And speaking from the heart doesn't mean you have to wing it. Speaking from the heart doesn't mean that you can't prepare ahead of time. I know this is a bit longer than usual and a little bit different topic, but I just wanted to share this because it was a real experience for me, and I think it will help others if they're ever in this situation. If you're ever in a situation where you're going to give a eulogy, I hope you find some of these tips useful. If you've got any advice on your own, please comment down below. Also, like and share this video. YouTube really appreciates that. And I know it's kind of a somber topic, but next week maybe we'll do something a little bit lighter again. And take care.